Jesus Nice and the Kid Mero are changing late night TV. The comedy duo from the Bronx has built a career out of being both unapologetically themselves and the funniest people in the room. Their cult fan base, called the Bodega Hive, has followed the brand from their long-running podcast, The Bodega Boys, to their TV shows at Viceland and now Showtime. When not tweeting, Jesus and Mero even wrote a book of advice called God Level Knowledge Darts, Life Lessons from the Bronx. As for what's next, the sky's the limit. I'm Rolling Stone video producer Reed Dunn. For the Rolling Stone interview, I spoke to Jesus and Mero about late night TV, interviewing Obama, and the best chopped cheese in New York City. Jesus Nice and the Kid Mero, it's a pleasure to have you guys on here. Honored to talk to y'all. How you guys doing? What's going on?
Double vaxxed up, you feel me? Feeling good.
Yeah. What'd you get? Moderna, Pfizer?
You looking at Moderna Mero right here, baby. You know what I'm saying? Double shot it up.
Same.
Got the Pfizer over here, you know the vibe.
So for some of the Rolling Stone audience who might not be familiar with your guys' work, who are you guys?
Jesus Nice and the Kid Mero were two young men from the Bronx who we started a podcast, and somehow that podcast has turned into one of the most dominant global brands you will ever come across. We are in print. We have a New York Times bestseller. We have a Timberland boot. We have an ice cream. We have interviewed Obama. We have interviewed Joe Biden. We've interviewed Sarah J. We've interviewed Dr. Fauci. We're all over the place. You don't know us, but anytime you hear a "you're," that's possibly us or our influence. We are pretty much the voices of the culture, to put it lightly. As David Letterman said, we are the future. And as you can see from what I just said, we are also egotistical. So that's us in a bunch.
You know what I'm saying? Very, very succinctly put.
When was the first year? When did you first start saying? Do you remember?
We probably it wasn't even it probably was on the first podcast, and we didn't even mean it. It was probably just us communicating with each other. It's such a New York thing, it's such a Bronx thing that now you'll see people on Twitter, they'll be like, yo, so and so Jesus and Mero invented that. We're like, whoa, we did not. We are just passing that on. Okay?
We just put "you're" into a cannon and shot it out into the rest of the United States. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's like a New York thing. Like if Jesus is down the block and he's turning the corner and he don't see me, yo D, you know what I'm saying? Then he turns around, he's like, oh it was good, and then we start walking towards each other and we formulate a plan about how we're gonna smoke weed that afternoon.
Or even if you want to be more annoying, when you're out of town, you go somewhere, you want to recognize the other New Yorkers, you do one of that, and then they answer, and then you're like, okay, two obnoxious people, let's get together, and we're going to spend the rest of the night complaining about what this state or city does not have, and what New York City has that's open till 4. Oh, you guys got pizza? That's cool. You haven't had pizza on Houston Street? That's real pizza, bro. And,
that's not real shit.
Yeah.
Tommy's, East Tremont.
Okay. Oh, wow, you guys got a baseball team? You guys ever heard of the Yankees? They're like, this is a baby shower. Nobody wants to hear this. Stop.
Yo, we ain't trying to talk about this. Y'all are annoying.
But you know who else was annoying? You know who else was annoying? Rudy Giuliani. You ever heard of him? Yeah, America's mayor. Yeah.
He cleaned up Times Square. He made it mad boring and sanitized.
Let me tell you about. You got time for this? I'll tell you all about it. They're like, sir, I'm 13. I don't want to hear any of this.
I don't understand any of this. I've never been to New York in my life. The "you're" is you ever seen those nature documentaries where the meerkats are all standing still and one of them is just chirp, 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 and they all turn around like that?
Yeah.
That's what the "you're" is in the Bronx. If you go into any Bronx place and be like, "Yeah," people turn around immediately. Yo, yo, what up? Do I know you? What's up? What's going on?
What do you guys think about Rudy Giuliani's son running for governor?
The apple does not fall far from the tree.
We already know.
If you're a real New Yorker, and I use that, if you've been in New York all your life, or you're just old as we are, you remember Rudy Giuliani's son wilding at Rudy Giuliani's inauguration. Yep. He wouldn't be quiet. He was on the side of the podium just making mad noise. He's still doing it now.
Yep, trying to grab the mic and shit.
Now we're at the point where life kind of feels like an HBO or a Showtime documentary or special, because I'm like, this is the character for next season. They're introducing him. This is who we're going. Old man Giuliani's out. This is the guy for season 6. All right, let's get ready for this. He's already bringing the same madness that Giuliani was bringing to the political game, and you know what? He's going to be a fixture, it seems. So let's get ready for Andrew Giuliani.
This is the spinoff. You know what I mean? This is the
Andrew.
The Tariq.
The new CBS show. Young Andrew.
Yeah. This is Young Sheldon, but way worse. You know what I'm saying?
So can you guys tell me about who is the Bodega Hive?
Shout out to the
It's
Bodega
everybody,
Hive.
man.
That's our fan base. Those are the people who consume the podcast. They watch the show. They read the books. They buy the shirts. They annoy the hell out of us in our comments for everything from where's the next podcast to sometimes they get mad at us for stuff we can't even do. They're like, why aren't you commentating this Knicks game? And I'm like, all right, you guys got to calm down. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah.
Thank you for having it on the radar. But no, shout out to them. Those are our day one fans. They're the most loyal in the world. They hit us up and they're like, you got me through cancer. You got me through my depression. You got me through the pandemic. And so it's like they get us through things and we get them through things. So it's like a very symbiotic relationship. So as always, shout out to Bodega Hive.
I know we got Moderna and Pfizer here, but how's your guys' whole deal been with going through COVID? What's it been like for y'all? Where your head's at when it comes to COVID and the lockdown and everything?
It put things in perspective. It really like stopped everything and gave you time to like just kind of reflect on everything. Because at one point we're still doing the show from our homes, which is just like some next level shit. But on the other side, you got people unemployed. You got food lines out there. You got people dying. And you got like white refrigerator trucks full of people. So it just kind of really makes you realize what you're doing out here, what service you provide to the world. And just like it made the show feel more important than just a late night show. Like you were actually getting people through things.
The proverbial like beer after a long shift, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people, bus drivers, cashiers, like essential workers that people not ignored, but like, nurses, doctors, obviously those are the obvious like frontline people. But then you have people that work at the supermarket, people that are delivery people, shit, like, you know what I mean? Like Uber, like people like that at the end of their shift, they're like, yo, y'all ain't banging pots and pans for me, but like, I want a little respite from this shit. So that's what, like Deezus said, that made the show even more important in our eyes to give them that. Like, yo, here's half an hour of joy in this like hellscape.
Do you have any faith that society or government or whatever is going to kind of start treating people better because of this whole situation and because of that respect that you're talking about that should be there?
Hell no. Everything's going to be, it's not funny, but during COVID, we're just like, oh, wow. People are recognizing you could work from home. People are like recognizing that, like some people don't have accessibility and this is better for them. We're going to be a better place when we all open up. We're opening up. You got people spitting on athletes. They're beating up flight attendants. Like people have gotten feral in the last year. And then the government is just like, now you just see people like, yo, the government don't care. The government was like, yo, we botched the vaccine. So like what y'all want from us? Like, like, come on, that's not y'all. It's a weird time now because it's kind of like we have the chance to be better, but at the same time we don't because like so many people lost so much in the last year that, we're not all starting on the same foot. Some people are like having to rebuild from what they lost last year. And, like dealing with that first, that's more important than possibly a better future, which is sad to say.
This is going to sound very bad, but I didn't have faith in it to begin with. I was like, okay, we'll come out of it. Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Joe Biden, yay, hooray, you know what I mean? But like, it's going to be like America gonna America, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a child of immigrants. Like, my pops came here and was just like, yo, bro, like, listen, I'm here to milk this titty and then I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of like my same kind of like worldview. Like, America's America, dog. Like, there's got to be a lot of like, what does give me, you know what? I'm not going to be totally negative. What does give me a little bit of faith or whatever is like the youth, like the young kids are starting to be like politically active earlier in the game. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, if you asked like the average 11, 12-year-old, like, yo, what's going on in government? They wouldn't be able to tell you. But I feel like now kids are more politically active, the more, in tune with what's going on in the world. And that's dope. That's a positive. But as far as like, yo, we're going to come out of coronavirus and be like, yo, mission accomplished. Like it's very much giving like the GW mission accomplished banner in the background. Like, yo, we did it. Like, nah, we didn't do it.
What do you guys think about like all the Black Lives Matter stuff that happened during COVID? Will that change anything, do you think?
I don't think, I mean, there's definitely more awareness of it, but it's just kind of, we have to see what the next step is because at this point it kind of feels like lip service. People are actually like going back and like some people have removed Black Lives Matter from their Twitter headers because they're just like, yo, we're over that's solved, right? It's such a systemic problem and it takes more than marches to fix it. And I think, people, it's not necessarily people are like over it, but it's just so daunting. They're just like, yo, what's the next step? Like, how do we really change this? And maybe just the awareness of it and maybe people realizing how widespread it is, just have people like, whoa, like it's gonna take a lot to change this. So I mean, while it's good it's on people's radar, like, just it's like baby steps, but baby steps are better than no steps, I guess.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere, but there's definitely you got to keep your foot on the gas. Like the same thing with like COVID. It's like it's not over. You know what I mean? Like this is an ongoing thing. So you got to keep your foot on the gas and not let up until you see actual change.
I want to bring it back a little bit, just kind of like how you guys got your start and how you guys got to know each other. You guys went to summer school together, but didn't actually really know each other then. But and you kind of started interacting more on Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you kind of like first, actually realized who each other were on Twitter and actually started talking back and forth and sort of how that relationship sort of built up?
It was really geographical. Remember at Twitter back in the day, they had like a GPS feature? In 2021, thinking about that now, it's like, yo, that's wild. Like, yo, you could just see where I'm tweeting from. Like, exactly. But like that created kind of like a Bronx Twitter. You know what I mean? Where people were like, yo, you're from here, you're from here, you're from here. So then you talk about similar things. You know what I'm saying? So like we were always talking about similar things, similar places, referencing similar, things that are happening in the around the way, whatever, and just kind of bouncing off each other. And then that's when it's just like, yo, hold up, you went to so and so? Oh yeah, I went there for summer school. Da, da, da. Yo, you know so and so? Because the Bronx is big, but it's small. You know what I mean? Like,
what was it like for y'all when you just made the jump to kind of do this thing full time? You both have day jobs and stuff, right? Like, how was it to be like, all right, I'm gonna quit that and do this comedy thing?
Kind of just like, why not? Because I hated my job at the time, so it was just like, what's the word? Like, I could either stay at this job and just be miserable the rest of my life, or at least try this and see where it goes. And it was one of those things where I'm glad I did it, because nothing would be worse than always having that regret, like, what if? Because that job I had, I really hated. That's what made me, like, people follow me on Twitter because I would just beef about it all the time. And then someone gives you an opportunity like this, and it's super risky. There's no health benefits. There's no thing. If you fail, you fail. But it's just like, you gotta take a chance on yourself. And at the time, I was like, yo, I know I'm worth more than this sucky ass office job. So that made it super easy to just be like, yo, I'm out. And it was really funny because the day that I quit, I remember the guy at my office was like, if you ever want to come back, I was like, I am never fucking coming back to this. Have you lost your mind? But it all worked out.
I didn't quit until like we literally had contracts ready to sign, because I had kids. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, yo, bro, and my wife was just like, yo, let's do it. I'm with you. Like, take that leap of faith, jump, do it. You have the talent. You've been doing it. Make it like your job. Make a career out of it. And I was just like, damn. But like, like Jesus said, like, damn, there's no health benefits. There's no this, that. And shout out to Victor Lopez, our manager, for making everything livable. You know what I mean? So that I was able to call my principal on like the day before I was supposed to report and be like, yo, guess what? I'm at MTV now. You tight? And she was just like, you're lying. Sent her a selfie of me in the office, like, yeah, peace. And she was just like, yo, congratulations, motherfucker.
You still do the podcast basically every week. Yeah. You got the Showtime show. Y'all wrote a book. Is there any time that you guys like in your day where you're not, just creating content or thinking about creating content?
Like, our lives are content. Like, Jesus says this all the time, and it's true. Anytime we're walking down the street and we're just talking about whatever, that's content. Like, if you're standing behind us, you're getting a free Bodega Boy show. You know what I'm saying? So or a free episode of the podcast, because whatever we're talking about, be it sports, politics, the person that's standing in front of us, the bus driver that just yelled something out the window, it's pure. It's the same energy that you get in every medium that we perform in. So, it's just like a natural thing. It's not like, yo, we're sitting jokes. You know what I mean? It's not like that at all. We just link up and it's like, yo, what's good, bro? Yo, what are we doing today? All right, let's get it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm making it sound way easier than it is, but it's pretty much that. It's just the banter, the chemistry.
Yeah, I think that's the good part about the hiatus. You could just consume. You don't have to put anything out. You could just watch stuff. You don't have to remark on it. You could just watch stuff. I'm not even I'm barely on Twitter now, because it's just I go on Twitter and sometimes I'll see something and I'm like, nah, I don't want to deal with this today. I don't want to interact with this. I don't care enough about this. There's I'm outside again. I've been locked up for a year. Let me go actually enjoy nature. and it actually gives you a chance to recharge. Because like now, I think I don't know if everyone else has noticed this. Everyone's been on social media so long for the last year that it's like bored groupthink at this point. Sometimes this happens a lot. You'll see a quote tweet of someone and they think they're dunking on someone, and it's just like 500 people saying the same joke, and you're just like, what do we gain from this? And if anything, we're like amplifying the terrible tweet that we don't like, that we think we're dunking on. So did that person not accomplish what they wanted? And like little things like that, I think it's important to log off every now and then, especially for the show, because you don't want to go on the show and be doing the same jokes everyone on Twitter is doing, because if that's the case, they can replace you with anyone from Twitter. So you have to have that unique perspective. So it's like, it's good to have this hiatus to just like recharge the energy and recharge the brain and get ready for when we come back.
Eventually, you don't want like 2 Russian bots hosting your guys' show on
exactly right. Just like like Jesus and Mero ebooks. Like nah,
it's like a robot yelling "your."
Yo,
it's
what's good?
It's but it's in Russian, so there's like accents over the R. It's very weird.
Why is there an umlaut over the R? That doesn't make sense.
So tell me about the book a little bit. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being really good advice, where would you guys sort of put this?
It's like 10 and 0 at the same time. It's like some of it is really good and some of it is just like, yo, this is clearly not the way to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I would say, what would you say, D? Like, I would say like,
I give it a 5. I give it a 5. Because
you know what?
It depends on where you are in life and where you're heading. Or like,
also,
it depends on where you are. Like if you're in a bad place, it's a good book. It's like, hey, I could probably get out of this. If you're in a good place, it's probably like, hey, either remember this is all the fuck shit you used to do. Remember this. Don't ever do it again. Or if you've never done it, it scares you. Like, yo, wow, I avoid that a lot. Like, I should really be happy that I'm here. Like, I have a whole chapter on what to do if you're super broke and just how to survive on potatoes for a month. And it's just like, hopefully you're not in that situation. But there are some people that hit me on IG and they're like, bro, the potato idea, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And I was like, you don't want to live on potatoes for a month, but if you're doing it, you're like, yo, Jesus went through that. Hey, hopefully I'll get through this as well. So shout out to my potato eaters out there.
Yo, straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've always been kind of interested in like advice columns and like self-help books and stuff, and I don't like actively seek them out, but every time I do it, like it kind of sticks with me a little bit, like no matter what it is. And the one that you had in here, Jesus, where you were talking about like just getting a text from your like significant other, and if you're like mad stoked on getting that text, it's probably like a good relationship, but if you're like pissed off just seeing it, it's like get out. I'm like, that's like kind of good advice, right?
Listen, that's good advice. Do I listen to that? No, not at all. But like, that's the book. The book is like, hey, I went through that. Hopefully you learned from that, and one day maybe I'll learn from it as well. But that's like, and then the best part is the dichotomy of the book, because you'll have like my viewpoint and then you got Miro's viewpoint on it. So you have like 2 different viewpoints, which are pretty much the same, but just at different stages of life. So it's like having two older guys in the bodega give you life advice. If you want to follow it, hey, that's on you. You might end up like us, but
follow at your own risk.
Exactly.
What was it like writing the book? You guys did it all in Google Docs, it sounded like.
Yeah.
You know what we did? We did it in Google Docs, but I think now we've done this interview so many times, I feel like that makes it sound too easy. So I want to lie and say me and Miro did this on loose leaf paper. Like, we did it because we wanted to keep it real. We kept it in the tradition of New York City public schools. So we'd write it on loose leaf paper and then slide it to each other under the door between class changes. So I'd be like, first period, I write it, say it to him, and I'd catch him in keyboarding class. No, okay, like that's too dated. That's not real. No, definitely Google Docs, and it was like he was right there in the room. It was like being in a virtual room with Miro right here, editor right here, and just going at it.
Yeah, and it's you're doing good when a lot of the editor's notes are LMAO. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Add ha-ha-has for like
yeah. LOL. I'm like,
or a bunch of exclamation points. You're like, all right. Or every now and then, just some question marks like, hey, we have to run this through legal. And you're like, all right, okay,
all right,
yeah,
okay.
Do your thing.
What's the statute of limitations on stealing 800 iPods?
One thing I've kind of wondered about and wondered if you guys have thought about this too is like, sort of like how your audience interacts with your guys' comedy if you're not from New York. I'm from upstate New York, like Albany area, but I've been living in New York basically like my whole adult life. And it's like, I feel like I get a lot of your comedy and references or whatever, but some of it's still over my head for sure. And I'm like, does someone in San Francisco or someone in like the Midwest sort of like fully get Jesus and Mero? Like, do you guys think about like how it's so geographical and like the influence it can have on places that aren't New York?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like New York is just influential on its own. You know what I mean? And I feel like the Bronx in particular hasn't been part of that package, so to speak. Like, you know what I mean? Like when they present New York City to like people who are not familiar with New York City, it's always just like skyscrapers and brunch and, you know, whatever. And it's just like, dog, that's not what the Bronx is like. So I feel like, you know, us kind of giving like a face to a name, I guess, is important. And also like, I feel like the way that our fans interact with it is more like on a kind of like on a, yo, I want to learn more about this tip. This is going to sound like an ad for Google at the end of this interview, but like, yo, Google's your friend. Like when we say something, like we mention something hyper local, like Bay Plaza in the Bronx shopping center, you know what I mean? Like people are like, I don't know what the fuck that is, but they'll go and Google it and be like, oh, okay. And then you see the street view and then the story that we told on the podcast or wherever. Now you have a visual accompaniment to that, so it all comes full circle and it makes sense.
It's super regional, but we use context clues all the time, and then we repeat stuff so much, you eventually get the references, you'll understand East Tremont, you'll understand. But then it's like, even if you don't completely understand, it's easy enough to pick up, and then you don't have to get that deep in it. You could just have like a baseline understanding of us, because like when the Knicks win, a lot of times you just have people in our mentions, they're like, I know nothing about basketball, but if the Knicks win, I know that makes you guys happy, so I'm rooting for them. And it's like, as simple as that. As simple as that. You're just like, look at these guys, these sad Knicks fans on the other side of the country. I hope things go well for them. And, you know, like that's sometimes that's the little bit of understanding you need to get the podcast. And it's like, once you understand that reference, the other ones start to, you know, display themselves.
Yeah, it's almost like, to that point, like I kind of think about this as like pop music like this a lot, where it's like, you know, you might hear a song one time, the first time you hear some like song on the radio and you're like, fuck that song. But then you like hear it another time and you hear it another time, you hear it another time and you hear those references again, and all of a sudden it's like in your head and you're like, oh, it's my jam after like 50 times. It's almost kind of like the same thing. It's like Tremont. Oh yeah, like I got it now, you know.
Yes. It's like my cousin when Raekwon's Purple Tape dropped. He couldn't tell the difference between Raekwon and Ghostface, which sounds bizarre, but you know, that just come out. And like now you hear it and it's like you can absolutely tell right away. But at the time, you know, you had to become introduced to it and like learn it. And it's like same thing with our podcast. People, when you guys talk too fast, you guys, I can't keep up. I don't get the references. The accents are too thick. And then, you know, after like 5 or 6 episodes, people were just like, oh, I love it. I get the accents now. I love it. Every now and then you get someone who's like, I play the podcast at half speed. Yeah. But, you know, they eventually come around on it.
I love listening. That's a great like concept of listening to it at half speed, because people
it just sounds like we're drunk
to try to get through it, but you guys like talking mad slow.
So listen, man,
I don't think anyone could double the time on. If you could double the time on our podcast, I'm gonna date myself with this reference. You're gonna sound like you're listening to the Micro Machine guy. like slow it down. Also, whatever happened to fast talkers in culture? That used to be a big thing back in the day. If you was a fast talker, you were in all the ads, you ran the world. Now,
that was
you know what? We're gonna bring it back to TikTok, I guess. We guys got to have a TikTok dance while we fast talking.
Yeah, talk mad fast. Like, yo, we doing TikTok. Start rapping like Busta Rhymes, late Busta Rhymes.
I wonder how long the AKAs take for the people listening at half speed. You know, like an hour and a half. Maybe.
Yo, for real, it's like a
separate podcast,
like a post show.
Wow, it's the BTS that you got to go on YouTube for.
For real, it's like hosted by Andy Cohen, like a It's like a separate program.
So maybe we can get to the substantive part of the interview here. How's it feel to be in the playoffs? And, this is going to air, mid-June, basically. So do you guys think you want to maybe kind of make a prediction of where the Knicks will be at in, 2 weeks from now?
Listen, I'm a Knicks fan. I've had the sweet taste of one playoff win. And hopefully that would have made me rational, and I'd be like, hey, let's one game and championship or bust. Let's go.
Yes,
Let's go. You saw us Knicks fans. We shut down 7th Avenue. Cars couldn't get by off of one win. Listen, here's my prediction. If you guys are watching, if the Knicks win, there's no way this interview's coming out. Because we're burning down New York City. You heard it.
That's right.
We're crushing every Apple store.
You know what I'm saying?
We're going to take over. We are going to take over Madison Square Garden and become our own unrecognized United States of Nick Fanistan. And we are sovereign citizens, and we are not listening to anybody. Our Emperor is James Dolan.
That's
okay?
right. Exactly. Out of here, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like,
you want safe passage? You want safe passage? You got to enter through the Sabaros. But it's just super exciting to be in the playoffs. This year has been magical. And since December, when this team first came out, this team's showing so much heart. You got the young players, you got the veterans like D Rose and Randall stepping it up, and it's just an amazing time to be a Knicks fan. My actual prediction is, regardless of what happens to this Knicks team, we had an amazing year, and we'll not forget this year anytime soon to come.
Yeah. Nah, it's like it's wild because it's like, everybody's talking about the other team, but in reality, the real story is the Knicks, man. We were projected to get 20 wins this year? Mm-hmm. 40-something wins, 4th seed in the East, you know what I'm saying? Playing the Hawks.
And also the Knicks, we're not even supposed to be here. So
yeah, we're playing with house money.
Nowhere but up. I was like, in the beginning, they were like, "Oh, the Knicks aren't even the underdog." I was like, "No, the Knicks are always the underdog, even when we aren't." So, listen, fingers crossed. Let's go, blue and orange. Let's go, baby.
Speaking of which, what was it like interviewing Barack Obama?
Yo, it was very casual. What you saw was actually organically what happened. He walked in the room, and we were like, "Hey, what's up?" You know what I mean? And then he immediately took the Knicks to task for no apparent reason. You know what I'm saying? Hindsight is 2020. So looking back, I was just like, yo, wow, that was surreal. But in the moment, it was just about being there present. You know what I mean? And we both were very aware, yo, this is former President Barack Obama. This is a big deal. But nervous or oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to say? I don't think either of us felt that way, really.
Definitely. It just we don't really get nervous for interviews even, and it's weird because the build up to it is just we gotta travel to DC during COVID, you gotta take COVID testers, Secret Service, we gotta go through metal detectors, and everyone else around us, these events, everyone else is super nervous because their production, they know certain time frame, you gotta be in and out, make sure you get these shots with the camera. They're not nervous because of the interview, they gotta do their job, so you can't even worry about that. But me and Mero were just there yo, this is cool. We were very casually just talking about, this is cool, we're in Washington, D.C. And he walks in, and we don't even change our energy or anything. It's just hey, Barry, you want to sit down? Let's talk about books. And then also, not to be cocky, it's yeah, you know what? You got a book? We got a book. What's the big deal? Huh? Yeah. You used to be president? We got a late night show. What? What's up? But no, it's just, it was a great energy. And then also you can see he knows us. He's a fan of the show. And he, not that Obama has hair, but he kind of laid his hair back. It was a cooler Obama than you usually see, which I know sounds like the ultimate oxymoron. But it was a chance for him to just be Barry from Chicago. I don't need to talk about the politics. Everything I want to talk about is in the book. If you want to read the book, you read the book. But we're going to talk about basketball. And I know most people who get a chance to interview Obama would have been livid if he just came on I just want to talk about basketball. But that worked perfectly with us, and it was everyone enjoyed it.
Have you guys thought about running together for the mayor of New York?
Running for mayor of New York, I think a lot of people, they actually do not want to be mayor. They're just into kink shaming, because why would you want to be mayor? Think about the last time somebody was like, hey, the mayor of New York, I love that guy. Oh, he's the best. You run for mayor, you're automatically the enemy of the people. NYPD does not like you. No matter what idea you put forward sounds stupid. You're not going to be able to fix the trains. You're going to become the butt of jokes on late night. People on BuzzFeed are going to do exposés about you. And even if you have good ideas, there's just so much bureaucracy and other things in New York City that you'd be yo, I want to change this. You have 4 groups no, we're not doing that. And now you just look like you're not getting anything done. I don't see us running for mayor anytime soon. It seems like a good idea in theory, but that would definitely ruin the brand. You imagine you're waiting for the train and it says your next train's in 20 minutes. You'd be fuck Jesus and Mero. No. These
motherfuckers, fix this shit. Right? We don't want those problems.
Also, our press conferences would be so aggressive. They'd be like, "What are you doing about there's people parking in bike lanes?" I'm like, "What are you doing, huh?
What are you doing?
You wanna fight? I'll go outside right now. I don't care if you work
stupid?
for. I don't care if you work for Fox 5. Listen, these Dukes still work. Let's go, Rosanna Scotto.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Why don't you move the car, huh?
Oh.
You saw it. You coming?
Oh,
so
I'm
you
sorry.
saw the car there, and you coming to tell me about it instead of doing something by yourself. Be a little bit more proactive.
Oh, I'm sorry. Me and Mero can't be mayor here. Here's our hat. Now you're mayor. Now you do. You fix everything.
You win.
All right?
You win.
You got all the ideas. Next
Salucci,
question.
dummy.
Next question.
In the primary coming up, it's going to be the first time that New York is doing ranked choice voting. I guess Miro, you're not voting or are you in? You're in.
No,
Jersey, right?
I mean, like, I could commit voter fraud, like, but I'm not going to. My entire family's there, so like, I'm the only one in Jersey. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I'm very like in tune with like what's going on over there because it affects like my mom, my sister, my nephew, my brother, everybody. So, and I've been keeping an eye on it.
At this point, is there anyone you guys like? Have you thought about what all 5 candidates are going to be or anything?
At this point, it's not so much what candidates you like, it's which candidates you dislike. And it's more important to get the people you dislike off that ballot. Because, everyone's like, Andrew Yang, he's terrible. There's some real wackadoos on this ballot because Eric Adams, his actual TV ad, he's like, I'm Eric Adams. He was like, I was beat up by NYPD, so I joined them. And it's just like, that's a lot. That's a hot take, my guy. A hot take.
Let's see how that works out. Interesting strategy, Cotton.
And you got to get these people out of here. So, shout out to all the workers and all the activists that made this happen. Now we have the early voting, which we never had before in New York. So now you have much more time because with your actual job and stuff, you might not have time to go to the ballots. You have more time to go to the ballots, and you have the rank voting. So it's giving more people an opportunity to get their voice heard. But it's definitely at this point, it's like you gotta get the wackadoos out of there. Just like even if you don't feel strongly on some of like the more alternate candidates, like Diane and Maya and all of those, get them to the top of the ballot because the 2 front runners right now, they seem like the type of people who would be mayor of New York City and not in a good way. They definitely seem like people who will be the butt of Dipset jokes, and we cannot allow them to be the head of New York City.
No, we can't. Yeah. Remember Cameron had the fuck Giuliani t-shirts? If you have rappers making shirts that say fuck the whoever mayor, like that's not a good mayor. You know what I'm saying? I'm firmly in like the Diane Morales, Maya Wiley camp. Like Jesus said, like those are people with like actual ideas, real New Yorkers. Dan's a former educator, so like that's has a special place in my heart as also a former educator, and they just have good ideas. You know what I mean? But like Jesus said, like there's so much bureaucracy and red tape and bullshit and special interest groups in New York City that it makes doing the right thing really hard. But out of this crowded weird field, like I see them two as like actual agents of change and being like, yo, listen, we're gonna fix this.
What's next on the career trajectory for Jesus and Miro? What do you guys got coming up?
What have we not done? What have we not done?
Right.
We got the book, TV, what's the logical progression, movies, you know what I mean?
We're working on a Hamilton. We're working on a Hamilton style Broadway play about the life and times of Big Pun. Yep. Miro will be playing Big Pun. I'll be playing Fat Joe and some very problematic makeup, but it should be good. It's also on ice. That makes it even more difficult because there's no ice skating rings in the Bronx, but we're working on it. On it. It's called Yeah Baby on Ice. So you got that. Mm-hmm. No, listen, right now the world is our oyster, and not even a joke. We're doing commentary on the next Mayweather fight, which is people like mind-blowing, and like that's just how the career trajectory. We can't say what we are about to do because even if we try to think it, like whatever is the next thing is probably bigger than our expectations. So at this point, we're just rolling with it and just enjoying it as it comes.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everything we've done up to this point, Reed, you can attest to this, has worked. What really holds it together is the back and forth, the banter, the chemistry, and it's worked in every format. So why not try it in every format? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it is totally
one of those
organic things where it does kind of seem like you guys being you guys,
Yeah.
Last question. In the whole New York area, best chopped cheese.
Ooh. See, that's a trick question because the answer to that, a real New Yorker would never tell you, because if I told you where I would go for my best chopped cheese, that would be ruined because people would go there and get said chopped cheese. But I can, instead of giving you a exact address, I'll give you what the characteristics for a place that makes the best chopped cheese is. You have to walk in. There has to be a hint of danger, perhaps a weird smell, a smell kind of like wet wood or wet floor that lets you know that, this place has been here around. Definitely got to have a cat. There has to be like a vagrant inside the bodega who is just, again, we're talking bodega. Has to be like a vagrant. He's not really a bodega. He might be a worker. You've never seen him get paid. He's always putting like beers and stuff back in. When you say hello to him, he doesn't really talk to you because he might have a little PTSD or he might be drunk. You don't know. There's probably bulletproof glass, but there's a part where there's no bulletproof glass. A lot of handmade signs. If the handmade signs are written in poor English or grammatically incorrect, oh baby, you're doing well. The more ridiculous the things behind the counter are. If you see hookah, bodega dick pills, and just like entourage cigarettes, you good. You're good. You need all this, and then you just got to be like, yo, Poppy, I want a chopped cheese. And when you say it to that, if you say it to the guy behind the register, he should turn to a second person and say something, maybe in Arabic, maybe in some other language. You don't know what he says, but the other guy says, got it. And that's who you're getting your chopped cheese from. If you go through all of that, you get a fire chopped cheese.
Straight up. Don't matter. Get off a triple digit street in the Bronx. Go to the bodega that is closest by and do exactly that. And you will have a chopped cheese.
Well, thank you guys so much.
You.